What's up, everybody, and thank you for listening to Mastering the Mindset. My name is Dariusdotch, and I'm an actor, hip-hop artist, and fitness and life coach. And I'm here to personally help you train and improve your mindset so that you can, 1, become the best version of yourself mentally, and 2, gain focus and motivation to be able to take action and achieve the success in life that you want and deserve. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to my channel, and at the end of this episode, if you liked it, please share it with a friend or a loved one or someone who would benefit from hearing this message. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm ready to go on this journey with you, and that journey begins now. All right, and welcome back to another episode. So let's dive right in today, because this is definitely an episode that I think everybody can relate to, because we've all been there, done that when it comes to this. I feel like I always repeat myself on this podcast a lot. Like I'm always saying, way too often we do this, too many times that. We've all been there with this. But I think it's a good thing, right? I'm trying to talk about things that everyone can relate to, about things that we all can improve on to better ourselves, because that's my goal, right? To improve your mindset. So let's dive in. So we've all experienced those times where we know we should be doing something, or we know we aren't really doing enough when it comes to things we want to achieve, right? We know we should be doing something or doing more, and we just don't do it. And as a result of this, we aren't hitting our goals. Day after day, week after week, month after month, we let time go by when we really know deep down that we aren't doing enough, that we haven't done the things that need to be done to actually make things happen. We're not holding ourselves accountable. So what happens when we do this? When we stop showing up for ourselves, we lose confidence in ourselves. So, for example, if I say I want to start my online business, or I want to sell this number of products online this month, and if I'm not giving 100% or not making it to work on time, right, not doing the things I know I need to do, I'm not going to be building confidence in myself, because what I'm doing by not doing this, by not holding myself accountable, is I'm setting myself up for failure. All over time, right? All these little failures add up, right? And we know we should be working on that side hustle, and we don't. And a month goes by and we still haven't started. Failure. We have goals at work that we want to hit, but we procrastinate on putting in that extra work. And the next thing we know, our goal has came and went and we didn't achieve it. Failure. Or we want to be able to lift a certain amount of pounds or lose a certain amount of weight by the end of the year, but we don't really push ourselves in the gym. Failure. And over time, all these many failures will add up, and it will cause us to lose confidence in ourselves. We start to think we're not capable, or we doubt ourselves. We lose confidence, when the honest truth is we just aren't holding ourselves to the standard we need to hold ourselves to. So let's dive in. 5 ways to hold yourself accountable. Number 1, and this is really a simple concept, but it's act like it's a job. If you act like it's a hobby, it's going to pay off like a hobby. If you're starting a business, or if you're working towards whatever that thing is, if you treat it like it's a hobby, then you'll get hobby rewards from it. So instead, treat it like it's a job. When you leave the house to go work on it, or when you set time aside to work on it, when you're planning your time for it, treat it like work. Let that put you into a different mindset. So think about it. Let's say you have to be to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, you're going to get up a couple of hours before you have to get to work, which you really should be doing if you're not, right? You're going to shower, eat, work out, meditate, whatever your routine is for the morning before work. And why do we do that? We need to be ready for work, physically and mentally prepared for the day. So why don't we use this same mindset for the things we need to do for ourselves? Plan that time accordingly. Set that time aside. Take away all those opportunities to be distracted. Because if you think about it like a job, right? At work, when you're on the clock, do they want you to be on social media? Are they okay with you starting your day 15, 30 minutes late every day? Do they let you clock out after 10 minutes? So why not approach these things that you want for yourself the same way? You have to take it serious as a job, especially if it's a side hustle or a business or something that you want to make you money, right? If you plan on working on something for 5 hours, Hold yourself accountable like it's work and actually put in all the time you said you would put in. Treat it like work. Put that time in, which leads to my second point, which is number 2, protect your time. So this one can be a little tricky. And the reason I say this is because the people in your life might not understand this one at first. So when I say protect your time, what I mean is, for example, if you set aside time for whatever you're working on, especially if it's a business, and this can apply to anything. So let's say you set time aside every day from 10 to 2 to work on something, right? 10 to 2, that's your time. And at 11, you get a phone call from your mama and she has a question, and then that question turns into a 45-minute conversation. Or if at noon, your friend walks in and asks you to look at this funny video online, or if somebody asks you for a favor right in the middle of your work. If you continue to allow these kind of distractions and breaks in concentration to happen, then you're not holding yourself to that standard you need to. Because think about it. If you were at your job, let's say you work at a hospital, your mama wouldn't call you and ask you if Aunt Brenda called you about the blanket she made you. No. Or if a friend wouldn't come to your job and ask you for a ride to the grocery store. None of these things would happen, right? Why? Because they know that while you're at work, that's your priority. So protecting your time is absolutely very important. And the reason it could be tricky is because you might have to turn people down. You might have to say, hey, look, I know I'm working on this thing that it is at home. I'm not actually at a job, but I need this time to focus on what I'm focusing on. Because when you're protecting your time, people might not really take it serious at first. Whatever is going on, whatever the reason is that somebody needs that time from you, if it's not an emergency, you have to protect that time. I'm laughing because as I'm saying this, one of my best friends is calling me. What up, Kobe? I know you're listening. But I'm going to have to ignore his phone call and call him after I finish recording this, right? Perfect example. I have to protect my time, right? If I was at work or in rehearsal for a show, I wouldn't be able to answer for anybody, right? I would have to call them back. Same thing. When you set aside time, you have to protect it. And not just protecting it from people, but also from the fun stuff, right? It's sunny outside, the summer's still here, the weather is nice, but are you holding yourself accountable, right? That even on those beautiful days when you'd rather be outside in the sun, are you still protecting your time? Are you holding yourself accountable to that? That's number 2. What's up, what's up, what's up? I want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for listening to this episode and to also let you know that this podcast is 100% donation driven, which means it's completely funded by you, the listener. So if you like the content I have to offer, I would love it if you can make a donation and you get to pick the amount. I left links in the description of the video as well as my homepage. You can choose which way benefits you the best to donate. And if you need more options, please feel free to email me at dariusdotch@gmail.com. That's dariusdotch@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for being here, and let's get back to it. Number 3 is use a calendar and schedule yourself. Now, this is a simple concept in theory, but a very useful one. Are you planning your time accordingly? Are you reminding yourself why that's important, right? If this thing that we're working on, right, this goal, this business, this side hustle, this project, if it's really important, which I know it is, are you giving yourself those dates and planning your time? Do you have those deadlines in place for yourself? And not only should you be scheduling yourself and putting it in your calendar, and this is kind of point number 1, but don't miss or fail to show up for these things in your calendar. If it was an event for work that you had to be at, and if it's in your calendar, ain't no way in hell you would miss it. You will make sure you will be there, that you show up, right? So make those appointments with yourself, schedule those things, that time in your calendar, and stick to it. That's number 3. Number 4, don't be busy. Be productive. And I've said this many times on this podcast. So as you put these things in your calendar, as you are protecting your time and treating it like a job, you have to really understand the difference between being busy and being productive. For example, If you want to start a podcast and you set time aside tomorrow to work on it, right, from let's say 6 to 9, and instead of doing actual work, you do research on it, or you watch videos about the best ways to run a podcast. So for 3 hours, instead of actually doing some kind of actual work, something that's going to get you closer to having a podcast, you ended up only learning about it. Now, don't get me wrong. Learning is earning. The more you know, the more you grow. Cliche, but true. But too many times we confuse that with being productive because, yes, you learn some things that can absolutely help you that you can use, but you still are no closer to that podcast getting created because you still haven't done any work. Another way people confuse being busy with being productive is when you put things on your to-do list. And while cleaning and doing your laundry and walking the dog is important, it's really just busy work. Those aren't things that's going to help you achieve your goals. So back to the podcast example. Busy work will be setting up your space, clearing out a corner of the room where you'll be doing the podcast, right? But that still isn't being productive. Yes, it's necessary, but you still aren't any closer to actually working on the podcast itself. So make sure you're not deflecting the actual work with being busy. Reading a book on how to be successful is important, but that's still not being productive. We have to know the difference. Those things that are going to get you from point A to point B of reaching your goals. And ask yourself this question. Is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goals? Ask yourself that 50 times a day. Like, is me scrolling my timeline for the last 10 minutes getting me closer to my goals? Is this Netflix binge I'm on getting me closer to my goals? Is me being up after 1 o'clock in the morning getting me closer? I think if we do that 50 times a day, we'll start to drop some bad habits. So that's number 4. And number 5, be surrounded by the right people. You want to surround yourself with those people who are going to hold you to a higher standard that you hold yourself to. And this one I think might be the hardest out of them all, which is why I put it last. Find those people who have similar goals or similar mindsets or a similar mindset as you. Those people who know what your mission is and will expect you to show up no matter what. For example, I have a friend that I met online on Instagram, and she does fitness as well. And we kind of have this unspoken competition with each other. So whenever she sees me post something clever, or if I announce something new I'm doing, she'll send me a message congratulating me. Then the next day or two, I'll see her post something super clever and unique. And we kind of give each other motivation this way, right? In a sense, in a way, we're holding ourselves accountable. But finding those people can be tricky because as much as we love our family and our friends, we know that they won't always be aligned with our current mindset. I can't tell you how many times I have heard friends or a family member or an acquaintance say that they want to start working out. And when I tell you that most of the time I don't even really entertain it because I know what it takes to really get in shape, all the time it takes, all that dedication, the effort, all of the hard work. And I know that where they are currently with their mindset, they're not the kind of person yet to actually follow through with it, right? For example, are you following the right Instagram accounts of other folks who are doing podcasts? If you want to start a podcast, are you reaching out to them? Are you connecting with them and having those conversations, asking questions, telling them what you're working on, telling them what you're working towards? Are you trying to pick up ideas from them to trying to match their productivity? My point is, there's more than one way to surround yourself with the right people. Sometimes it has to be online. So that's what I got. Let's recap really quick. Number 1, to be more accountable for yourself. Number 1 is act like it's your job. Take it just as serious. Number 2, protect your time. Hold yourself accountable to that time. Number 3, use a calendar and schedule yourself. And again, keep to your schedule. Number 4, don't be busy. Be productive and really understand the difference. And number 5, be surrounded by the right people. So let's hold ourselves accountable. Let's start hitting these goals. Really, really be honest with yourself. Is everything on this list possible? I believe so. Can you physically do all the things on this list? I believe so, and I think deep down you believe so too. So let's get it in. Let's hold ourselves accountable and start achieving all the things that we're setting out to achieve. So that's what I got for you today. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody that can benefit from this, somebody who is a friend or a family member, somebody who has goals and is trying to improve their lives. So thank you again, and let's get it in.